known as the Coder Coach, and welcome to my first video blog. I have been doing written blogs off and on for almost the last 10 years, and lately have found that I don't have as much to write about and decided to switch my platform and do videos instead. So I hope that you enjoy this video and share it with everybody you know who is getting started in the coding profession or wants to get started in the coding profession. I thought that I would start my video blogs by starting to answer some of the questions that I've seen come through either social media or things that people have emailed me directly. And the first thing is, how do I get started in being a medical coder? And there are a couple of different resources where you can go. I know there are a lot of schools out there who are offering coding programs. Some of them are reputable and some of them are not. And really what the Coder Coach was started as was a way to get information out to people before they enroll in medical coding programs so that they know that the program they're going through is going to lead them down the right path. So the first major FAQ that I get asked is, how do I get started? Where do I go? And which school do I select? I never recommend that you start shopping for your medical coding degree by doing a Google search or by Googling medical coding programs. There are both good and bad programs out there, and the best way to determine if your program is a good one is to go through one of the accrediting organizations. So there are currently two organizations that are widely recognized throughout the United States as good coding certifying bodies. The first, and this is in no particular order, so if anybody is out there saying, oh, well, she mentioned one before the other, I will tell you that I'm certified through both. And both of them are great, and both of them will lead you to excellent career paths. So the first one is the American Health Information Management Association. Their website is ahima.org. We call them AHIMA. And AHIMA typically, in addition to coding, they also have certifications for people who have received degrees in health information management or the management of medical record information. So in addition to coding, you will also see a lot of medical record, electronic medical record, HIPAA information coming through and funneling through AHIMA. AHIMA certification will often set you up to work in a hospital. Most hospitals widely recognize AHIMA credentials as kind of their golden standard, but they also will look for certifications from the other certifying body, which is the AAPC. When I first started coding, AAPC stood for American Academy of Professional Coders. They've kind of dropped that now, and it really is just an acronym. Their website is aapc.com. Historically, the AAPC has been really big in certifying coders who work in physician offices. And they have started over the last several years to offer coding credentials for people who are working in the hospitals. Now, who you go through kind of depends on what you want out of your career. So let me say those websites one more time. If you're looking for a school, you either want to go to ahima.org or aapc.com. And both of those websites have information on schools who offer coding programs. Those coding programs, if they're mentioned by those websites, are designed to prepare you for coding certification through one of those two certifying bodies. Again, if you have a preference towards working in the hospital, I kind of recommend you go the AHIMA route. If you have a preference towards working in physician offices, I recommend you go the AAPC route. If you're not really sure, then the recommendation would be to see what kinds of coding jobs are available in your area and what certifications they are requiring. Now, the next question that I receive about coding is kind of tied to this, and that is, which coding certification should I get? CCS or CPC? And I'm seeing that there is a lot of confusion among people who are just getting started about these two credentials and their relationship. So let's back the bus up for a minute and talk about AHIMA versus AAPC. Again, both are great organizations. Both offer coding certifications. I have certifications through both of them, but they are not related at all. So if you kind of think of them as planets, AHIMA is from Mars, AAPC is from Venus. Those two associations are completely separate. You pay separate dues. So if you choose to be a member of both, you will pay dues to both associations. You pay for your continuing education. You are required to get a certain number of continuing education credit hours each year to maintain certification. So for example, since I have coding credentials through both organizations, I have to report continuing education credits through both associations, but I can often use the same seminars for both. So I go to an interventional radiology conference every year, and I can use all of the credits for that from that educational session for satisfying my AAPC credential as well as my AHIMA credentials. So having said that, it kind of depends on, again, what healthcare setting you're coding for. In the hospital coding setting, the certified coding specialist, that's the CCS credential, is considered to be the gold standard. The CCS credential shows that you are an expert in both hospital, inpatient, and outpatient coding. It also goes through hospital reimbursement methodologies. And it really is meant to show that you are an expert, and they don't recommend that you take the CCS credential unless you have at least 2 to 3 years of coding experience in a hospital, both inpatient and outpatient. Now, having said that, I've known people who've taken coding classes and they've been able to pass the CCS. I think, again, it's a very tough exam. It's been a couple of almost decades, I'll be honest, since I took it, but it is a very tough exam. The CPC credential, the Certified Professional Coder credential, is offered through AAPC. So there is absolutely no relationship between CCS and CPC other than the fact that they're coding credentials. CCS is AHIMA, CPC is AAPC. The Certified Professional Coder, or CPC credential, shows that you have been through a coding class and have a basic baseline knowledge of procedural coding in the physician office setting, as well as you know some anatomy and physiology, and you know ICD-10 CM coding. So the CPC exam is going to test you on your anatomy and physiology, diagnosis coding, and then all of the CPT coding manual, which is what the physicians use for their professional coding and billing. The CPC is often seen as an entry-level coding credential, and for a lot of the hospitals I know who do accept the AAPC credential, CPC would be considered an entry level, whereas CCS is considered to be more mastery level. The benefit, you know, when we talk about CPC versus CCS, I would say that the CPC is a little bit easier to pass right out of school than the CCS, but and will get your foot in the door. I've had people ask, should I get both the CPC and the CCS? It really depends on your career path and what you want to do. And medical coding is so much more than looking up a word in the dictionary. I know that when you first start coding, you get an index, and it kind of is looking up words in a dictionary almost, and then assigning a code. But there is a lot more that goes behind the scenes with coding guidelines, and then as you get more advanced into some of the payer and the reimbursement. And on top of that, not forgetting that medical coding is used not just for reimbursement, but also for statistical data and quality reporting, and there's a lot to remember surrounding all of that. So this is kind of just a quick 10-ish minute video to kind of give you an idea of where to start. So just to recap, remember that if you're looking for a coding school right now, either go to ahima.org or aapc.com and search for a coding school that way. My concern is if you go with just a Google search, you may end up with a school that looks good on paper and makes a lot of promises, but does not prepare you to sit for the certification exams through one of these associations. And you will need certification through one of these organizations in order to get a coding job. It's becoming a bigger requirement, and more employers are looking for certified coders. So I hope that this helps. Check out those two websites. You can read some of my older blogs on www.codercoach.blogspot.com, and stay tuned for more upcoming videos. Have a great day.